Welcome to Crafty Polyglot, the monthly podcast where language meets creativity. Each month, we sit down with leading voices and innovators in language education, from renowned educators to pioneers shaping the future of multilingual learning. Together, we explore the art, the science, and the passion behind mastering languages, uncovering the strategies and stories that inspire learners and educators around the globe. Whether you're a teacher, a student, or simply a language enthusiast, Crafty Polyglot is your gateway to fresh insights, practical tips, and meaningful conversations that celebrate the vibrant world of languages. Join us on this journey, because in every language, there's a new world to discover.
Hello, I am excited to have as our guest today, Lillian Burgess, who has been a longtime parent and advocate of dual language immersion. She continues to be invested in dual language immersion as a parent and counselor in a dual language school. Lillian, welcome to the Crafty Polyglot.
Welcome, Dr. EYBL. I am happy to be a part of your panel today, and I'm ready to share all the great things about dual language immersion.
Great. So tell me about what motivated you to enroll your children in a dual language immersion program.
Well, I think I was first introduced to the importance of learning another language, actually from my father, probably in the early 90s. He was an accomplished educator himself, and so he always pressed upon me the importance of learning another language if I was presented that opportunity. So I kind of kept that in the back of my mind, and then when I got married and had children, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do. And so when I think about my children, I think about I wanted them to be globally competitive. And not just master those core academic subject areas like your English and your math, but also I wanted them to acquire a level of mastery of another language, learning how to communicate with communities outside of their own. And that is just something that we kept at the forefront. Also, learn another language, it increases a level of cultural competence.
Right.
Those things that you need to navigate life and the world, learning how to be empathetic to people that are different than yourself. And I think that has just been that passion that's been at the forefront of our family's choices.
So did you have any other goals or expectations from the program?
Yes. So my children, they attend a dual language program where they only have one in the program now. The other three have since completed the program. So they learn Spanish, and they not only learn Spanish, but they learn in Spanish. And so my expectations of that particular program is for them to be exposed to not only the language, but also staff from those various Spanish-speaking countries. And my hope would be that they not only learn the language, but they learn those cultural mores and value systems of those particular communities. And I also wanted them to learn the diversity in languages.
That's also very important to understand that not everyone speaks English.
Right.
You have an older daughter who graduated from the language immersion articulation program, and I think who has also graduated college.
Correct.
Yes, even though you're too young for that. Tell us about her experiences and successes that came due to her ability to communicate fluently in a second language.
So with my daughter, I think I was amazed and impressed on how she was able to communicate with just everyday people, number one. She really very humble, so she didn't really showcase that skill to me. So I had to see it from just a side-eye sort of a purview. But through those experiences, when she was in high school, she was a foreign language ambassador. So when new families came to register, she was able to, give them tours of the school in their native language of Spanish. The new students get acclimated to not only that high school, but also the United States high school environment. And then as she went on to college, one of her professors asked her, was she a native speaker in her Spanish class? Because the way she was able to not only speak, but also write in the language of Spanish. And I think one thing that I think I'm most proud of as a mom, she actually was able to finish her Spanish major in Argentina.
Wow.
So to be able to go and learn and participate not only in a foreign country, but actually in a university and be taught at a college level in Spanish, and not even a Spanish class. I'm thinking like just
university studies.
University studies. There you go. Absolutely.
And what was her major?
Her major was public health as well as Spanish. Spanish.
Wow, that's very impressive. Can you share specific examples of how immersion education influenced your children's cultural awareness, global perspective and empathy toward others as a result of their participation in language immersion?
My goodness, that is not only I mean, I can just talk on and on about that. But I think at the highest level, like in short, I can see the social justice piece with my children knowing Spanish and with them being in a dual language immersion program in Spanish. The environment that they were immersed in from kindergarten to eighth grade was not only in the classroom, but it was also outside of the classroom. They would hear the announcements in Spanish. Majority of their friends come from Spanish speaking families. The walkies were the staff, they spoke in Spanish. So they were able to when they would walk through the doors of their school, it was like they were walking into Latin America. And so they have had opportunities to participate in quinceañeras. My daughter, she was a dama in a quinceañera like 4 or 5 times. She would go to her friends' homes and be able to speak to their parents. And so what that evolved into is a level of social justice that they have been able to grasp that allows them to advocate for some of their friends and family members that may not have the rights that we have. They're able to understand walking in someone else's shoes and not only being concerned with your own oppression. And so they can articulate or grasp that level of social justice, not just from an English perspective or their own cultural perspective, but also from someone else's, because they see it in real time. They've been able to put names and faces with those causes.
That is very important, and that's great. That's great. For your children who had the experience of traveling abroad, how did the experience of interacting with native speakers impact their confidence in language development? So you told us about your daughter. So what about your other 3 children? Have they done exchange programs or traveled as well?
Yes, they have actually. My 3 sons, they've actually participated in exchange programs. And so they have done exchange programs in Costa Rica and Spain. And so I think what they grasp the most is the diversity in the language of Spanish, to be able to understand those colloquial expressions based on each country. And the native families or the host families were always impressed with that. They, because as you travel to different countries, that some vocabularies do shift from country to country. So to see them maneuver those particular nuances was always impressive. Something that we value as a family, that multicultural experience. And so I think that's how they benefited, to be able to navigate various scenarios and environments.
That is great. So your daughter is the oldest and she has 3 younger brothers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so do they speak Spanish at home sometimes?
So I have heard them speak Spanish. But my 2 oldest, my daughter and my son, I see mostly when it's probably joking around. And so that's when I'm able to pick up some of those, how I can say, colloquial expressions. Mostly, and sometimes they say things when they were younger, they didn't want me to understand what they were saying. But now, since I've also worked in that environment for a while, they can't really hide too many things from me.
Great. As a seasoned and engaged dual language immersion parent, what advice would you give other parents considering a language immersion program?
Oh my goodness. Go for it, go for it, go for it. If you have the opportunity to enroll your children in a dual language program, I cannot impress upon parents enough to seize that opportunity. It is amazing just to see your children flourish and just build that bridge between their own culture and someone else's. And I think from a family perspective, just know that it is going to take some work from home. You do have to partner with those teachers and with that school environment. And if that target language is not your language, or you don't have exposure to that language, you may need to get some extra resources, nothing major, some TV shows, links and things they can listen to, music, to just alleviate any, I think, barriers, because it will be a barrier at first, because if the children are not familiar with other languages being spoken in their home or in their friend and family environment. But I would just impress upon parents to stay the course and be positive about that journey. And if you have the opportunity to strengthen the children's language base in their own native language, those skills will transfer to the language that they're learning.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Crafty Polyglot. We appreciate your input and your insight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you as well, Dr. EYBL.